Do you find that you have trouble keeping your class motivated and in order? If you do, you have probably tried using different strategies in your teaching methods and style in order to produce some sort of change. This is a difficult task to accomplish because once a classroom is established, students get accustomed to how that class is run, and will have difficulty adjusting to the new methods. This is why it is very important to establish and structure your class exactly how you want it from the very first session. However, if your class begins to get out of hand, there are some simple solutions that you could try. By simply rearranging how your class is set up, you can not only get better control of your class, but create an open and friendly classroom environment. This is a layout of the traditional classroom. All the desks are facing the chalkboard and teacher's desk. This classroom layout is very effective if your lessons often use projectors, slides, and the chalkboard. However, the problem with this layout is that the teacher is very far away from students sitting in the back rows. Students sitting in these back rows are more likely to become distracted, lose focus, and converse with others. Here are some alternate classroom arrangements. Half circle or circle arrangement. Desks or tables in a circle or half circle promote community and encourage all students to participate. Everyone sits in the front row. It also allows the instructor to see everyone from an equal distance and communicate easier with students. Group seating. Desks or tables in small groups work especially well for classes that include collaborative activities. This arrangement also allows the teacher to group together students with similar needs, which makes individualized instruction easier. Divided desks. Having desks split into two groups facing each other is a very effective arrangement for class discussions, especially debates. The teacher can also walk in between the two groups, allowing him or her to see every student and include them in conversations. Traditional rows. With a small number of rows, this arrangement can be very effective for teachers who frequently use boards or overhead projectors.
In 1930, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the, anyone? The Great Depression, passed the, anyone? A tariff bill, the Hawley-Smoot Tariff Act, which, anyone raised or lowered? Raised tariffs in an effort to collect more revenue for the federal government. Did it work? Anyone? Anyone know the effects?
You don't want your students to look like this when they're in class. Proper classroom motivation is important and can be improved by simply knowing how to facilitate good classroom discussion. Students do not learn when information is simply read at them. Their attentions will wander easily, and they will lose interest. By creating open class discussions, students become an active part of their own learning process and will retain much more information. Here are a few tips to facilitate good classroom discussion. Ask for questions. If you want the students to ask questions, give them opportunities to do so. Pause after making an important point or explaining a topic. Or say, "Any questions?" or "Are you with me?" or "Do you want me to say more?" However, such statements must be more than rhetorical or used as a technique for you to get your thoughts together before going to the next point. Give the students time to formulate their questions before you move on. Also, look at the students to make sure you do not miss someone with his or her hand up. Ask open-ended, not just close-ended questions. A close-ended question structures the response for the student and can be answered by one word, often yes or no, or by a very brief phrase. An open-ended question leaves the form of the answer up to the person answering, and so elicits much more thinking or information. Ask divergent as well as convergent questions. The distinction between convergent and divergent questions is whether there is a single or accepted correct answer to a convergent question, or a number of possible answers, many of which may be acceptable, to divergent questions. Convergent questions may expect the student to repeat some conventional wisdom. Divergent questions often require new, creative insights. Wait, pauses, and silence are not inappropriate class behaviors. The discomfort that many, if not most, instructors feel when a pause leads to an extended silence probably stems from a cultural norm for social conversation, where the silence is taken to mean that there is some inadequacy in the communication. This discomfort often is especially acute for new teachers or teachers who lack self-confidence. If such an instructor were to tape record his class, he might find that these pauses actually last only a few seconds, very often less than 5, not the eternity it seemed during the wait. In the classroom, constant talking is neither required nor desirable. Answer students' questions adequately. It is not enough that you respond to the students' questions. You must answer the questions to the student's satisfaction as best you can. Your answer should be concise and to the point, and you should ask the student if you have answered the question. This fosters both accurate communication of content and says to the student, "Your question is important and I will take the time necessary to answer it if I can." If, after 2 or 3 attempts, you've still not answered satisfactorily, and other students cannot help answer it, then it is appropriate to suggest getting together after class. Listen to the question or to any student comments. The way you listen to a question or comment also communicates your attitude toward the students. Look at the students when they are talking. Show that you are following by nodding, etc. And check whether you really understand what they are saying by rephrasing the question. Finally, do not put down the students. In general, you should avoid anything which would embarrass the student who asks the question. Rather than responding with a value judgment to a student's question or comment, ask a probing question. You may help the student to arrive at the correct answer, or an acceptable answer, in which case, rather than proving the student wrong, you have helped him or her to be right.